Hey guys, today we're going to be reading about something interesting that most of you probably have in your own home. Something that comes from nature that is delicious, at least in my opinion. Something that you can eat in several different ways. Something that can look different depending on where you got it. Any guesses? We're going to be reading about, drumroll, eggs. So our book today is called An Egg is Quiet. This is part of our author series, and it's written by Diana Hutz Aston and illustrated by Sylvia Long. Now yesterday we read the book called A Rock is Lively by the same author and illustrator. And this book, you'll notice, looks very, very similar. It's part of the same series. It's still a nonfiction book. It's going to be teaching us a lot of things. There are a lot of very realistic looking illustrations, and almost all of them are labeled for us. So, let's see what we can learn about eggs. Okay, the inside pages right here, they have this certain pattern on them. Believe it or not, that is how the outside of an egg can look. And then she gives us some pages that have all sorts of different kinds of eggs on them. And they're all labeled. This book is dedicated to my mom, Candy Champion Hutz, who hatched me. And the illustrator dedicated this and says, "Welcome to the new hatchling in the Long family. Your Nana Long loves you dearly and will enjoy watching you discover the natural wonders of this world." An egg is quiet. And this egg is called a black-necked stilt. It sits there under its mother's feathers, on top of its father's feet, buried beneath the sand. So this one is Anna's hummingbird. So in this case, the egg is under its mother's feathers in the nest. If you remember, earlier in the year, we read a book about the emperor penguins and the journey that it makes. And if you remember, the dad is the one who watches over the egg while all of the mom penguins go and they search for food. So this is an emperor penguin, and it lays on top of its father's feet. And here in the sand is Kemp's Ridley sea turtle. So this sea turtle buries its eggs in the sand, warm and cozy, waiting for them to hatch. An egg is colorful. So eggs can come in all sorts of different sizes and colors and patterns, all depending on the type of bird they came from. One interesting thing that I want to show you is just some perspective on these. So these are mostly drawn to scale, and what it means to be drawn to scale is like that's the size that it is in real life. So if you look at some of these, this one is a lobster egg. It says it's larger than the actual size. So just for reference, here is my pointer finger, and it says that this picture is actually larger than a real one. So in real life, that lobster egg is even smaller than that. This one is a passion vine butterfly egg, and that also is larger than the actual size. So here's my finger again, so you can tell how big or small it is for that. Here's a blue crab egg, a king salmon egg. So you might be noticing that not all eggs come from birds. Lots of different kinds of animals lay eggs. An egg is shapely. There are round eggs. It says sea turtles dig a hole in the sand with their flippers and lay up to 200 soft round eggs. Round eggs fit together nicely in tight spaces. So this is Kemp's Ridley sea turtle egg. There are oval eggs. This is from a ladybird beetle, and this is larger than its actual size. Remember, it's a beetle. Its egg is it's not gonna make sense for a beetle's egg to be this big. Zoe found the egg and was chewing on it. Glad I found that before she cracked it all over the floor. Zoe, that egg is not for you. Sorry, kiddo. It says, when ladybugs hatch as larvae, their first meal is often the egg case they crawled out of. So when they hatch, they eat that outer shell that was in it. So you can't have the egg. Go away. There are pointy eggs from the common murre. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Seabird eggs are pointy at one end, so if they're laid on rock ledges, they roll around in safe little circles, not off the cliff. So I don't know if you've ever taken an egg and really looked at its shape, but it's usually smaller on one end than the other. And so that egg is even pointier on one end. And when that happens, this egg will roll in a little circle like this instead of rolling like a ball right off of the edge. There are even tubular eggs. So this is from a dogfish. It says, while most sharks give birth to live young, some sharks, like the lesser spotted dogfish, begin life in a leathery egg case with tendrils. The tendrils anchor the eggs to seaweed so they won't be swept away by the ocean current. So this is the leathery egg case that's born in. And then it has what they call these tendrils, and these attach to the seaweed so it kind of holds them in place. Zoe, can you move? Thank you. An egg is clever. The markings on some eggs help them blend in with their surroundings. This is called camouflage. Camouflage is an egg's way of hiding. An egg might be speckled to resemble the rocks around it, or it might be gray, the color of mud by a lake. An egg does not want to be eaten by a raccoon, or a snake, or a fox, or an insect. So if we look closely at these pages, see if you can spot any little eggs. Eggs come in different sizes. An ostrich egg can weigh as much as 8 pounds, or 3.5 kilograms. It's so big and so round it takes 2 hands to hold one egg. So you wouldn't just hold an ostrich egg with one hand. So think about that. A regular chicken egg, I can easily fit in my hand. But they're saying an ostrich egg you have to hold with 2 hands because it's so big. Hummingbird eggs are the size of a jelly bean. It would take about 2,000 hummingbird eggs to equal the size of one ostrich egg. Okay, so you've got your tiny little hummingbird eggs and then your giant ostrich egg. Kind of like how we've compared the Earth and the sun, and it would take so many Earths to equal the size of the sun. An egg is artistic. It says all eggs on this page are larger than the actual size. So think about why the illustrator would have made these eggs larger than their actual size if they're talking about an egg being artistic. I would think that if I were the illustrator and I chose to make these eggs larger on this page specifically, it would be so that I could show off the different patterns that's on these eggs. Remember they said eggs come in a lot of different sizes, and some of these eggs could be this small. Okay, this is that Atlantic salmon egg, and they said that those are tiny, tiny. If they were so tiny, if they drew them to the right size on this page, I may not be able to see the coloring on them as well. So up here you have a paradise crow egg, a yellowhammer egg, an egg from a red-winged blackbird, a scarlet tanager, an Atlantic salmon, bronzed-winged jacana, a katydid, harlequin bug, sooty tern, Arctic tern, green lacewing, evening grosbeak, and paradise riflebird. An egg is textured. There are hard eggs, like this one from the boat-tailed grackle. It says bird eggs are hard. There are soft eggs. Reptile eggs are often soft and rubbery, like this one from the green iguana. So you're used to probably most eggs that you touch being hard and having that outer shell to kind of protect the egg. But this one from this green iguana is soft and rubbery. Think about why God would have made some eggs have different textures. Maybe it's because they live in different environments and that's what's going to help protect them in that environment. There are gooey eggs. Amphibian eggs are gooey. The goo keeps them from drying out. So these are the eggs of a leopard frog. There are smooth eggs, like this one from a black vulture. Most bird eggs are smooth. And rough eggs. The eggs of cassowaries, emus, and cormorants are rough. So this is an egg from a southern cassowary. And if you look closely, you can see that it has a different texture than other eggs do. An egg might even be fossilized. The remains of creatures that died millions of years ago may become rock hard or fossilized. Scientists have unearthed fossilized dinosaur eggs from all around the world. Some are round and some are oblong. So think about what that would mean. If some are round, what would that word oblong mean? Round or oblong. So an oblong is more like an oval. Some are as small as 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters across, and some are as large as 20 inches or 50 centimeters. Scientists believe all dinosaurs hatched from eggs. An egg is giving. An egg gives the little creature growing inside it everything it needs. The shell is its home. The yolk is its food. The egg white, or albumin, is its pillow. The shell is covered with teeny tiny holes which allow air to enter. So let's look at some of these egg cycles right here. So on your first one, this is the cycle of a chicken egg. So it starts out being this small at 3 days. At 7 days, it starts to look like a little creature. At 13 days, you can tell it's looking like a bird, and at 18 days, you can certainly tell what's inside of it. And at 21 days, the egg hatches, and eventually will turn into a hen, who then lays more eggs. This one is from what looks like to be a fish. Oh, a salmon. Goes to the next page. So at 2 weeks, it's starting to look like a weird little fish. At 5 weeks, it takes more of the shape that you recognize. At 8 weeks, it looks like, I don't know what's happening here. I mean, I guess in some way it's hatching, but that's kind of a weird way to hatch. Looks like it's just changing places with the egg. And at 11 weeks, this is how it looks. And then this is how the full-grown adult salmon is. And then it will lay its own eggs. And this bottom one is a grasshopper egg. So at 2 days, this is what it looks like. 5 days. 7 days. 15 days. And then it says a grasshopper embryo rests inside the egg until the weather is just right. And then it hatches into a full-grown grasshopper. If you look at this diagram, okay, remember what kind of text feature this is? What kind of diagram? It's a cutaway so that you can see the inside of the egg. So up here we have a protein cord. We have the embryo. The embryo is what the little baby is before it's fully developed. This is the yolk. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was younger, I always thought that this was what would have been a chicken. And I thought that if this was in there, surely that means there was no chicken in there. Well, that's not actually true. Not every egg is fertilized, so not every egg has a chicken in it. So this is what the little baby chicken would eat if this egg does get fertilized. So this bottom part down here is the albumin. This is an air sac. And the outside, of course, is the shell. An egg is quiet. Then, suddenly, look what's happening. This is the egg of a black-necked stilt. An egg is noisy. This is a green vegetable bug hatching up here. This is a passion vine caterpillar. And then these are all of those stilt birds. And if you look, what is it called whenever an author has these sound words like crunch and cheep and peep and cheep and crunch and another little peep? That's onomatopoeia, or your sound devices. And then at the end of the book, if you think back to the very beginning, remember on your cover page, it showed you all of these different kinds of eggs. And then at the back, it has all of the creatures that go with them. And then again, your pretty egg pattern. Okay, so that is all from our Egg is Quiet book today. I want you guys to leave a comment below and tell me one thing that you learned about eggs that was surprising to you. I will read your comments, and I would love to see if you guys choose any eggs or any creatures from this book to illustrate along with your comment to show what you guys learned. And just like yesterday, if you need to pause the video on a certain spot to see what kind of egg you would like to illustrate with your fact, that is totally fine. I can't wait to see what you guys took away from this book.